Hey everybody, James back here with another video. Today we're gonna just keep it really simple and go over some Candace Owens PragerU bullshit. Real easy, light work, and how about we talk about a little bit of a life update. I really intend to post videos daily, but I really can't because I work a normal regular job. And just keep in mind that I remember like in the comments of one of my most viewed shorts and shit, the people are just like, you just need to just like work, bro. Why are you complaining about the system? Just like work. Like, yeah, sure, motherfucker, whatever you say. But anyways, I've been working a lot. I've been taking care of my family, and haven't really had time to get on here. Plus, I've been out skateboarding yesterday, and then nowadays we're getting like a lot less daylight, so I have a lot less time to squeeze in these videos. But we're on easy mode PragerU today, or with 2 5-minute videos. I might keep it the same video, or I could post 2 different ones just to, just because I can. But anyway, we might as well just get started with the stupid arguments.
In the first half of the 19th century, 4 million blacks worked as slaves imprisoned on plantations
Blacks.
in the American South. They were prevented from learning how to read, their families were forcibly broken up, and if they tried to escape, they were severely and brutally punished. The owners of these plantations were almost without exception Democrats.
Yeah, I mean, they were, by today's definition of politicians, conservative. I guess this is going to be one of those half-assed, ignore the Southern strategy, ignore the past 50, 60 years of U.S. history in which ways the Republicans have worked within the systems of capitalism and a social phenomenon of white supremacy to take rights away from black people and to keep us socioeconomically behind. We just going to ignore the fact that, the whole N-word speech by Lee Atwater. We're going to ignore all the drug war talk that Nixon did. We're going to ignore all the "It's morning in America again," end of protest, because basically signaling like, okay, we're going to crack down on those protesters and what have you. So yeah, whatever. Whatever you want to say, bitch. Like, you really going to do this. Here we go.
Before the Civil War, slave-owning Democrats used black bodies to
Not to
massively
mention that the Ku Klux Klan, all neo-Nazi and fascist right-wing organizations endorse Republicans as they as they candidates and stuff. And it's like at one point the Republicans were more the liberal slash social democratic party, and now the Democrats are the liberal slash social democratic party. And and if you just, like I said, just pay attention to everybody's platforms the past 50 or 60 years of history, you'd see that there's a reason why our favorite special guy. How about we do this? How about we do this? Okay, it looks pretty bad. Like, yeah, look, David Duke is he's a Democrat. He told you, you're wrong. Whoa, why is all of a sudden David Duke is running? Whoa, he keeps running as a Republican again. Let me see. Is he got to be a oh, never mind, Republican. 1977. He got to be a Democrat. Republican. What else did he run for? So he got to be a Democrat, Republican. Um, so so um, so what happened? What happened? Oh, never mind. Do do do.
increase the number of votes they got in Congress and the Electoral College. Because of the 3/5 compromise, a single Democrat in Georgia who owned 5 slaves got
Notice the way she's referring. This is like completely like partisan hackery. The way she's referring to like the Southern people, the conservatives of this time period, as Democrats. This is like purposefully constructed right wing propaganda bullshit to make racist people feel good about themselves for voting Republican.
times the representation as a single white abolitionist in Pennsylvania who didn't own any. So for Democrats, it has always been about using black bodies for political power. How they are used may vary, but the plantation model remains a constant,
How?
even today.
How? I want to hear this shit.
Despite the fact that blacks are no longer enslaved,
Blacks, bro. Like, why the fuck do every time a right-wing white supremacist, or especially when they're white, or even like some black, because I understand like if you talking really fast because you're like delivering some statistics or some shit, and you be like about blacks are twice as more likely to receive a longer sentence than white people, but it's like these motherfuckers literally go on tangents, and they never say black people. They never say black men. They never say black women. It's always blacks, 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 blacks. Like, Jesus, man.
many black children barely learn to read in poorly.
And then you can keep in mind how they put those three like famous black people up there. Like, I noticed it was like LeBron James. Like, look, you see how easy it is to get rich? What are black people complaining about?
Performing schools. Our families are often shattered by misguided welfare policies, and if we try to...
These are conservative phenomena of the way that are, first of all, these are the same motherfuckers that want to restructure history like this video is doing in such a way to make kids like literally dumber and more likely to vote Republican. Y'all motherfuckers want to ignore segregation. Y'all want to ignore slavery. Y'all want to ignore the history of capitalist exploitation and white supremacy that black people and many others, including working class white people, have experienced in this country, and try to reframe it as like, people being lazy and whatever the fuck else y'all want to say. So I don't accept this shit. Y'all up here trying to say that, oh, misguided welfare policy. How about we make it so the father can stay in the home and the mother still qualifies for welfare? We can just fucking do that. I said that in that one video, and I'm still saying it here. We could make the welfare policies better and easy to obtain instead of just trying to, we're just going to completely get rid of people ways to get help from the fucking government. Fuck y'all.
To escape, we still face punishment. Of course, the plantations of the 21st century are not physical, they are virtual.
I love this.
The owners of these plantations are once again, almost without exception, Democrats.
Let me turn it up.
Think about it. What today are certain areas of Chicago, Baltimore, Detroit, St. Louis, Atlanta, Milwaukee, and Philadelphia, all run for decades by Democrats, but virtual plantations? Many who live in these areas are largely, if not totally, dependent on their masters, the politicians, for their food, housing, and health care.
Go ahead. Maybe people vote Democrat all the fucking over the city. Let me tell you something about Detroit especially, because I'm from this motherfucking city. The reason why people vote Democrat here is because people are not stupid and empty-headed enough to fucking vote Republican. How the fuck does taking away... Because you know something. Let me tell you something about a lot of these cities. These cities are full of working, hard-working fucking people. People that are black, people that are Hispanic, Arab, white, people who are queer, straight, people who catch the bus to work, people who ride their bike to work, people who rely on food stamps, state mandated Medicare and other fucking policies, the end the right to work laws, and their unions being strong and all type of other shit that only Democrat politicians will either at most they'll leave it alone, and at best they might improve it. But at the least, Democrats leave policies that actually help people along, while Republicans not only come in with a bunch of fucking racist propaganda, literally in this fucking video trying to say that cities that are, and I know that I said all those other people that this is just fake. These are black cities. These are black cities for the black people, and you're on a fucking right-wing propaganda video talking about somehow they're plantations, and then you want to sit around wondering like, oh, why do people vote Democrat? People vote Democrat because fuck you. That's why. Because y'all motherfuckers can't stop yourselves from taking away the things that people need to survive. Just keep in mind, a lot of people on food stamps and all this other shit also work. So they need that extra $200, $300, $400, They need their child to be able to go to fucking school early in the morning, eat fucking breakfast. They need this state-funded fucking Medicare so they can go see a fucking doctor if their throat is hurting or if they get hurt in a fucking accident or something like that. So get the fuck out of here with this shit. Like, they're relying on their masters when people who are working for a living just simply want a little bit of help. And you frame that as them being slaves to a fucking master. And then you wonder why people vote Democrat. Get the fuck on.
Hardly a fair exchange. The politicians become wealthy. The residents become vote slaves.
Not vote slaves. Get the fuck out of here. Not to mention the fact that the average Republican politician is always richer and more well funded than a Democrat politician. I'm not saying there's not institutional capitalist corruption in the Democrat Party, but in the Republican Party is way more fucking pervasive. That's why Democrats, you could say at most they're centrist and social Democrats, but Republicans are hostile. Listen to the fucking debate that I want to go over, but it's too fucking long. They're hostile to any economic reform, hostile to the very idea of individual civil fucking liberties. And of any kind, they're hostile to the idea of not partaking in foreign wars and escalating shit to the point of war. So that's why people vote for fucking Democrats. And then the Democrats might, be wealthier than your average citizen, but they're not always wealthy as Republicans. You can look at Donald Trump and Joe Biden, and no, they're not wealthier because they work hard. A lot of Republicans, they're born rich, they live their lives rich, and they get richer off selling you fucking lies.
Just barely, by government transfer payments. And just like the plantations of yesterday...
That makes no fucking sense, dude. How the fuck is that a bad thing? So, if somebody is literally relying on welfare to survive and shit, because there's people out there that's injured and they can't work. They rely on like Social Security, disability, and welfare programs and unemployment to make their ends meet, right? So this bitch is literally up here saying that, oh, why are you voting for the person that's keeping you alive?
Year, which demanded a consistent breakdown of the black family to reinforce its system of buying and selling slaves. Democrats today incentivize similar family corrosion.
So we're not going to even talk about the fucking drug war, about how mandatory minimum sentence for things like crack cocaine is higher than just having pure cocaine, and you can guess which race done had which over the years. How the fact that when you're black, you're more likely to be stopped, arrested, harassed, and belittled by the fucking police when you walk up and down the street. The fact that schools are funded by property tax, so that means if you go to a black school, especially a black public school, you're more likely to get a worse fucking education, which in turn makes the teachers not give a fuck, which in turn makes the students not give a fuck and give up. So we're just going to ignore all that and just say that their Democrat policies are somehow breaking up Americans, when at the same time a lot of welfare programs are literally feeding a mom and 1 and 2 children to send him to high school so you don't have to deal with the same shit. Whatever, Candace.
Policies fostering dependence not on mom and dad,
this video
but
is
on the
a
government.
Huge bunch of stupidity. How the fuck are they gonna read? See, this video is like, because it's like my wife said about PragerU. It's like at the beginning of the video, they start off telling the truth. Then they start telling half-truths, and then towards the middle or end of the video, they just straight up fucking started lying. The reason why mom and dad rely on government programs to survive is because the government, mostly conservative government officials, Republican politicians, have made it harder for especially black people or working class people in general to get a foot up in fucking life. So the low stagnant wages, inflation, tax cuts for the wealthy people, fucking biased welfare programs, and just the reinforcement of white supremacist far right ideals in society at large, especially against black and Hispanic people, and and even other races of people. And this shit, yes, it trickles down, and they say that some working class white people are collateral damage because of this shit, and you're talking about some they're fostering dependence on the government. Not to mention the fact there's a lot of two-parent households that have to get these benefits in order to survive. There's people that, like, one person gets disability and the other person works. One person gets food stamps and works, and the other person works because they can't qualify for food stamps because they make too much. So this bullshit about people relying on the government is just not as simple as people just giving up on life and not wanting to work. People want to work, but people want fulfillment and fair pay from their work. And when they're not getting that fulfillment and fair pay, they rely on the government to compensate for things that they can't. Because after paying rent, after paying all your utilities, after buying a car or getting a car note, after transportation back and forth to work, and then having a child to take care of on top of that, not to mention, when you go to fucking school, especially high school, ain't shit free. You have to buy everything, all your binders, books, notebooks, pencils, all that shit comes out of your parents' pockets. And then you're talking about, why would they want money from the government? When life is increasingly getting more and more expensive, because the neoliberalization of the economy, thanks to mostly right-wing politicians, and then people have to turn somewhere. And it's like, I hate this dumbass argument where they be like, oh, you the worst thing you can hear is we're from the government and we're here to help you. Shut the fuck up. Because the government has to, like, first of all, it's like people like this, and this is the last thing I'm going to say on this tangent, is that what the fuck does the government exist for? So the government can only protect the interest of wealthy people. They can protect like private property and shit like that. But the government at the same time cannot provide like, you know, protections for well, I'm saying basically, I'm so fucking mad, but they can provide protections for private property, business owners, and for wealthy people, and like the ideals of white supremacy as they're structured in our system, but they can't help a working person get by. That's a bad thing. Whatever.
Just
the government
one example,
for me, but not for
virtually
thee.
every inner city school provides free breakfast and lunch. Sounds generous, but what it really does is remove the traditional responsibility from parents.
Wow, what a fucking ghoulish ass bitch, bro. Because literally, like right now, my wife and I, and even my parents when I were growing up, had shit to do in the morning. People got to go to work. People got to go to doctor's appointments and shit. It really helps that my tax dollars goes towards not buying the police more batons to beat the shit out of a 15-year-old black kid smoking weed, and goes towards, you know, things like free school lunch and breakfast. Like, what a fucking ghoul. Go hungry at school if your parent doesn't have time to fucking cook. And this is that bullshit. It kind of reminds me of the voter registration shit. Like, you know, a lot of people can't just like leave their job at 9:37 and go home and just do shit when they feel like it, or get to work when they feel like it. People have to be to work at 4 a.m. People have to be to work at 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and even 11 and shit like that. Well, the kids should be at school by about 9 o'clock. I'm assuming most like schools start at 8. But the fact of the matter that I'm saying is that most parents and shit don't, especially because it's like at the same time you're saying, oh, parents are lazy, especially black and Hispanic parents, or you know, even working like white parents are lazy and they don't work for a living. But when they do work for a living and don't have time to do certain shit, the government still shouldn't pick up the tab.
Get over to the state. Yet many do break free from this oppressive system.
And no, motherfuckers, not even black women. Black women have never throughout U.S. history had the fucking, not the audacity, but the ability to just stay home and not work. They've never had that fucking luxury. Because, you know, even in eras and shit, even till this day, you'll see it where black men are thought of as threats and are discriminated against and kept out of the labor force in many different ways. Who went to work? Black women.
Like the fugitive slave Frederick Douglass once did, they run toward a better life. But leaving the plantation still entails great risk. Of course, today it's not the whip or the lash, it's libel and slander. The purpose is to bring black conservatives within an inch of their professional and sometimes personal lives a warning that rebellion will not be tolerated.
No, it's not. Rebellion would not be. Because when you, first of all, being a right wing, it's like, let me make this shit fucking clear. And I hope my fan isn't blowing over this. Let me turn this shit up and move it closer to me. Because I see this a lot. Where, like, you know, we're going to talk about right wing ideas in general. Right wing ideas are not fucking rebellious. Right wing ideas are the status quo, are for making shit worse. Like, if you're a right wing person, you are pro white supremacy. You're pro racial hierarchy. You're pro discrimination against gay people. You're homophobic. You're anti-trans. You're anti-economic reform to help working people. You are anti-homeless. You are anti-Jesus, as a matter of fact, when you really think about it. But like, that's the thing about being a conservative. You preserve the status quo for wealthy people. You preserve the status quo for especially rich, wealthy white people to stay in charge. And when people try to make reforms or suggest ways to change society for the better, you are that fucking stumbling block in the way. You are not the fucking rebel. You are the status quo. You are what wealthy people want. You are the status quo. Transgressing against society is being gay in public, being a black political activist, fucking being a feminist woman. I mean a real feminist, not a punk ass turf. Being a left wing person actually transgresses against society in a way that can uplift people and change the status quo. Being a conservative is purposely designed to use simp for the status quo and be against any change. Notice how every fucking time they talk about any economic reform, we should raise wages. Oh, but what about the small business owners, or what about inflation? We should rely on renewable energy. But what about our gas industry? Y'all motherfuckers, that's why the dialogue exists as it does today. Because conservatism, especially in the way that's constructed in the Western world, and I'm sure the Eastern world too, and that even goes all the way up to like neo-Nazism, protects the interests of the white, of the wealthy, of the straight, of the man. Period. Full fucking stop. So stop that shit where people are like, oh man, I'm a right-wing person, I'm transgressing. No. When you are a right-wing person, you are for the status quo. You are anti-reform in society that can actually help people. You are pro, a lot of the time, hurting people. To be honest with you. A lot of people don't want the status quo. Most centrists or Democrats want the status quo. A lot of Republicans nowadays are fascists, and they want to regress society into some 1950s wonderland where everything was perfect. And furthermore on this tangent, as we talk about black conservatives, the reason why black conservatives get most black backlash is because when you're a black conservative, you're saying I am going to weaponize my black skin for profit to defend white supremacy and the status quo of capitalism as we see it in society. And anytime people calls me out for the dumb shit I would say, you're telling a black person that they can't live without welfare. You're telling a black person that they can't live without college. You are pro preserving instead of. And then the last thing I will say, especially about any black conservative commentator, whether it's Brian Logan, whether it's Tatum, whether it's Owens or Gothics or any of these other motherfuckers, if black people's problems were solved and we were actually able to partake in society to the extent where we had no problems, being a black conservative would not exist. This job wouldn't exist in the way that it does. Like, your job exists as an example of how the status quo has is afflicting black people, and you exist as a bludgeon, as a fucking weapon to tell racist white people that everything is okay. And notice every time a black conservative opens their mouth, last thing I promise, they're never saying or defending anything good. Every single fucking time they're defending something that doesn't need to be defended. From defending Nazis all the way down to defending, the 11-year-old, he did look kind of grown. Same people.
Don't believe it? Just ask Dr. Ben Carson, Hoover Institution economist Thomas Sowell, or
dumbass
Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas, to cite three prominent examples. Carson, one of the most celebrated brain surgeons of the modern era, has been called stupid by the legacy media.
I mean, what the fuck is he saying? Because other science, it's like this. You can be a good scientist but have bad politics. It's like the guy that did the DNA helix shit. You can do some good things in society and be appreciated for the contributions that you made in a positive light, especially when you were not factually lying about shit, like saying that what's a good black conservative lie? Let me think. That black people are just committing crime because they think it's cool. Y'all say dumb shit like that, and then when people call you out, they be like, black people ain't committing crime too. There's a lot of stuff right in my on my phone right here I can read you about institutional racism and how the way that capitalism is rigged up in America causes, the working underclass to have to turn to crime. And everybody's like, no, just work harder. I don't know what's wrong with everybody else. Why don't other blacks just work harder? And then you get called stupid for it, and then everybody hates me. It's so hard to be a black conservative. You can't think outside the box. Sure, man, whatever.
Because he has conservative political views. Thomas Sowell, who went to Harvard and taught at Cornell, Amherst, and UCLA, and may be the nation's most brilliant economist, has largely been ignored, while many lesser lights have been celebrated.
Because the shit that Thomas Sowell pushes is clearly fucking partisan, like saying that I can't even remember. Like, oh yeah, he was like literally in a fucking he grew up literally going to college during the civil rights era in one of the most racist towns in America, where literally outside the black dormitory they burnt the fucking cross. Like, the Klan or whatever, the fucking student body jock dipshit social club motherfuckers burnt the fucking Klansman cross on the fucking black dormitories line during segregation, by the way. They were segregated, by the way. And then he goes on talking about some racism. I've never experienced racism in my life. It's like either A, Thomas Sowell is so old to the point, because I feel like young black conservatives are really that. No, young black conservatives do it for profit. Old black conservatives are really just that stupid.
Clarence Thomas, one of the luminous legal minds of our time, was the victim of a massive smear campaign during his nomination to the Supreme Court. Because of his conservative views, his reputation was dragged through the media mud. This is how he described the experience.
Wow.
It is a high-tech lynching.
I defend fascism and white supremacy in America. It's like a lynching. But keep in mind, Candace Owens was defending like the Ahmaud Arbery killers and shit. She was all like, well, he was shown going into the warehouse and shit, and you know, and all this other shit. Or anytime anything bad happens to a young black person or a black person in general, they're the first up to defend it. Every fucking time. Or a black person or Jew. You know, anytime something bad happens to a minority, black conservatives be the first people up to defend that act. And then when people be like, hey man, you're kind of a piece of shit for defending white supremacy, it's like I'm being lynched. Please.
For uppity blacks who in any way deign to think for themselves, to do
because it's again, you're not. Oh, I'll let you finish.
To have different ideas, and it is a message.
Hold up.
That unless you kowtow to an old order, this is what will happen to you. You will be lynched, destroyed.
Oh my God, bitch, hurry up!
Rather than hung from a tree.
So, any fucking ways, it's like I said earlier, being a conservative does not seek to upset the status quo or transgress against society in any way. The only way, well, I guess you can transgress against society, depends on how far to the right you're going. So do you want society to be more racist, more homophobic? Do you want to neoliberalize and, you know, deregulate capitalism further to where, you know, people can like barely fucking survive, to where we live in fucking feudalism, where company owners are pretty much like feudal fucking lords? So, like, again, being a conservative is about defending the status quo of white supremacy, Being a conservative is about defending racial hierarchy, heteronormativity. Yeah, I said that correctly. Fuck off. Defending deregulation of capitalism. Being conservative is being anti-union. It's being pro-big business. It's being pro the status quo of a group of people being over the top of another. Being conservative is literally about conserving the status quo. You're not thinking for yourself, because often at times, especially people like Candace Owens in this blurry ass picture, y'all have pre-prepared white supremacist talking points written down by white people for y'all to repeat. Clarence Thomas is an older black conservative, so I really think that he's just that fucking stupid. But the point is that at the end of the day, these people are not transgressing against society anyway. When they get called out for the shit that they're saying, they're getting called out because they are purposely promoting misinformation, misrepresentations of history, or outright defending horrible fucking acts of terror. You know, especially far right extremist terror in our fucking country. Like, for instance, it's like like I said, the Ahmaud Arbery shit, the George Floyd thing, the Breonna Taylor shit. And y'all weaponize your black. Well, and it's like y'all always come in, well, as a black person, like this bitch literally made a video talking about the George, like, as a black person, I was gonna be quiet. No, the fuck you was not. And then you continue on with y'all talking points. So never buy it when they say this shit. And then at the end of the day, it's like I keep saying over and over again, the idea of being a black conservative would not exist in a society that had its equality. Well, had equality for black people, in everybody for that matter.
Today's plantation owners will do anything to hold on to what they see as their property. Little wonder. In 2012, Barack Obama received 93% of the black vote. In 2016, Hillary Clinton received 88%.
This video is a little dated.
That dip was a critical factor in Clinton's loss.
Yeah, unfortunately, because a lot of black people probably just didn't vote because they didn't take their election. I wonder something. Let me see something. If I can find a percent of black voters that Joe Biden got, because I think it probably went back up because he was more of a popular candidate than Hillary Clinton. I don't know if I can find it. Here we go. Not the quite what I'm looking for. Yeah, not looking too good on that. I don't really think that. Well, I know more black people voted for Joe Biden than Trump, but I'm trying to find a graph that says it more directly than what I'm seeing here. Oh, shut the fuck up, Time Magazine. Oh, 92%. Oof. I was just curious about that. And yeah, unfortunately, I think the reason why Hillary Clinton lost was because she was just an unpopular candidate. And I guess a lot of people, including myself, even though I voted for Hillary, we just didn't take the election serious. And it's not like the black community wanted Trump to win. That is not a fucking thing. Because even, older and younger black people all knew by his rhetoric, it was basically like Ronald Reagan 2.0. The way he talked about and referred to black people, immigrants, and, gay people and women and working people in general. No black person or barely any black people were like dumb enough to go for the polls and put up for this fucking guy. So this bullshit where she's trying to act like a million black people just like are not voting Democrat anymore is just a fucking lie.
The Democrats know that they can't lose the black vote and win a national election.
How would the Republicans win the black vote? By what? Calling us thugs and criminals? By taking away more social safety nets? By lowering wages? By defending white supremacist terror attacks? By promoting like great replacement shit that causes like fucking spree shootings? How are Republicans gonna win the black vote? And I hate this like this fucking horse blindfold shit that they do. Perfect pause with her dumbass eyes closed because they are like, why don't black people vote Republican? Let me show you. This is why black people don't vote Republican. Let me help you. It ain't just the David Duke thing. Speeches like this. Stuff that he doesn't have to fucking say. And that's why people don't fucking vote Republican. Is because he couldn't stop himself. Or how about this one? A white supremacist hate gang. Or shit like this. Hold up, no, that's not direct enough. I'm done. But the point being is that Republican politicians, candidates, including Donald Trump himself, cannot help but to simp for and defend white supremacy in one way or another, and that's why black people don't vote for him. Not to mention the fact, I guess we could end this video by saying this: black people are not dumb enough to fall for this hackney ass propaganda saying like, oh well, Trump gave a black person $2 yesterday, so they should vote for him. When was the last time Joe Biden gave a black person some money? And then people are gonna say, whoa, we should vote for Trump next election. No black person, unless black people that are completely fucking out the window, that are either A, really that stupid, or B, paid propagandists are dumb enough to fall for any of this shit. Like, it's not happening. And I really don't necessarily got nothing to add to that. So that's the end of this video.